Hi, my name is Mark Hundley, and this is Live at 5 for a Tuesday. I really appreciate you who stop by live and take a few minutes with me at the end of the day to contemplate, think. Yesterday I had you breathing some and thinking some. I'm hopeful that you enjoyed that. I also appreciate those who join later. So it's whether you're listening to this, watching this live, or later, I welcome you to the Live at 5. I think earlier today I suggested to you that I would be talking about four statements about the future. Um, and so I really want to kind of contemplate. I was going a different direction yesterday, but then I sat down early this morning and saw this and thought we would go with four statements about the future. Now, the future, wow, I think about it all the time. I wonder about what's going to happen tomorrow, or next week, next month, next year, and it's been especially difficult during this time to be wondering and worrying sometimes about the future, what's going to happen. And I know you likely do as well. Um, if I'm not careful, I can obsess about it sometimes. I do that. And when I do, anxiety becomes my constant companion, my best friend who parks right on my shoulder. And I know, really that at some level, if I allowed myself just to pause and think, I know that at some level, the future really is yet to be written and that there are no guarantees. So those worries and fears sometimes grow out of proportion. That last truth, that truth about there are no guarantees kind of bothers me sometimes. Why? Well, for one, if you just pay attention, I hear it all the time, I've had for years. I hear way too many people in politics and religion and education speaking as if they have the ability to actually predict the future. They speak in terms of absolutes. Think about it. They speak in terms of certainty, as if they had some sort of crystal ball that reveals the future in specific, unquestioned detail. Just stop and pause and think about that. You know what I mean. If you listen to politicians now, it seems to be one of the biggest things, they'll say things like, well, now if I'm elected, the economy will just explode. And then you have the flip side of that. And they might come back in the next breath and say, now, got to be careful. If he, she, or they are in office, then the economy is going to tank. Where do they get off saying such things? And more importantly, where do we get off buying into such foolishness? The future, plain and simple, is uncertain. It's not mapped. It's uncharted. The only guarantee about the future is that it will be characterized by change, plain and simple. As much as we cannot predict the future, we do have the ability to exert influence on the paths it takes, and herein lies the importance of what we do in the present. I told you I was going to share with you four statements or quotes. Two of the quotes come from a gentleman by the name of D-E-E-H-O-C-K, Hock, D. Hock, who was instrumental in the starting of the Visa credit system, and then from two Native American wisdom sources. All of these cause me to think differently, really, about the future. And I'd like to share them with you now. The first one is from D. Hock, and he says this: certainty is the place where questions go to die. Wow. Whenever we operate from a foundation of certainty that our thoughts, our ideas, our perspectives, our family, our organization, our group hold all the cards, we essentially kill the possibility of exploration and new ideas. We just do. We cease to question. Absolutely. We cease to give merit to the questions or ideas or perspectives of others. You see, when certainty kills questions, the future disappears. The second statement or quote comes from an unknown Native American tribe. Sometimes there are those that are ascribed to Native American wisdom without a specific tribe. And it says this: we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. You see, the future really is not ours. The future belongs to those who follow us, our children, our children's children, and their children's children. In order to act as good stewards of the resources and opportunities given to us, we have to pay attention to the reality that we do not own the future. We must work to protect diversity, equality, mutuality, abundance, and opportunity for everyone. In so doing, we hand our children a future that is potentially better suited for success. The third statement comes from the Iroquois. We've already talked a little about the Iroquois earlier. They say this. Now, this is powerful. In every deliberation, we must consider the impact of our decisions, get this, on the next 7 generations. Let me read that again. In our every deliberation, we must consider the impact of our decisions on the next 7 generations. Heck, rarely do we even consider the impact of our decisions on the end of the week, much less a year or even 1 generation. It says 7 generations. The Iroquois really were a wise people. They understood that the foundation for a self-sustaining future filled with possibility is actually built in the present. As long as the decisions made today take into account their potential effects on future generations, then the Iroquois call those wise decisions. Decisions that squander resources, ignore warnings, or minimize reason tend to create paths that are filled with even more uncertainty rather than purpose and direction. The final quote also comes from D. Hock. He says this: "We enter into each moment holding hands with a future composed of infinite possibilities and a past filled with infinite realities." In this statement, Mr. Hock outlines the reality that the present, each moment we live, is connected to both the past and the future. In order for us to make decisions today that nurture the possibilities of the future, we must study and learn from the past. Otherwise, we really do run the risk of self-defeat and thereby future defeat. You know, I for one vote for preserving the positive possibilities of a future that's yet to be determined. And I believe the best way to do so perhaps lies in paying attention to the 4 statements that I just shared with you. Now, whether you're watching this live or later, or whether you even go back and rewind it and listen to those 4 statements again, I encourage you to take a few moments in the next few hours, few days to ponder those statements. I do that from time to time when I read those statements. And it causes me to think differently about the future, and it causes me to think differently about the ways that I can influence and change the way that I behave today so that I can not be so myopic in my look at the world and what's around me. So, just think about it. What we do in this present moment is so powerful to influence an open future, not just for our family, but for all families everywhere. So I hope you have a great evening tonight. I hope you get some rest. Have a great dinner. I don't know where you're going to have dinner, but have a great dinner. Good day tomorrow. I hope that you'll join me tomorrow for Live at 5, and I wish you peace.